we saw you received Bernie Sanders endorsement, which is pretty cool. Bernie really inspired me, and I think Zach as well. Obviously, with his 2016 run, showed a lot of people that there's a different way to approach politics, especially in the Democratic Party, which we've kind of seen, really stuck in its ways lately. Yeah, the neoliberal order that took over a while ago is really since calcified, I think, and he showed us a way without corruption. Can you speak a little bit about how you initially met Bernie and how your campaign came to receive his blessing?
Well, I've been very fortunate to have seen Bernie speak back in 1992 when I was a student at UVM. So I was 21 years old, so I don't know how old you guys are, but 22. He was, there you go, right? I mean, he was incredibly inspiring to me as I was cynical about electoral politics, too much corporate money. A lot of politicians were, finger to the wind, kind of, oh, I'll go this way now and I'll go that way then. And he just said, here, this is what I believe, right on my sleeve. 1, 2, 3, take it or leave it, but you're going to get what you're going to get. And I'm going to be straightforward about it. And I'm not taking corporate money. And to me, as someone who was an activist on campus, particularly around environmental and some other social justice issues, I thought, wow, you can be in that level of office and still hold your values as true as this guy is. That's incredible. So I volunteered on his campaign, registered with a team of others, but I was the main coordinator on campus, over 1,000 students to vote that fall, which was a pretty big number for school campus, voting. And through that, I met local folks involved with what was then called the Progressive Coalition. Those are folks that in their daily lives worked in affordable housing, worked in environmental issues, trying to reduce pesticides and herbicides on public, parks and lands, worked on livable wage campaigns back then, and saw that people could live and work in their social values direction, and that they were building this coalition in Burlington to challenge the two major parties. And I got involved in some of their campaigns and was asked to run in '94 as a nearly finishing senior at UVM. I lost by 59 votes, and then I ran again in '96. And Bernie endorsed me in all of those races. So I've been lucky enough to have been endorsed by Bernie maybe more times than anybody else in the country, which maybe I should tout more, but we have a fun picture on a postcard from he and I with arm around each other when I was a student, and he and I around each other from just a couple of years ago at a parade in Essex Junction. And I feel really lucky to have him as my mentor, mostly by watching what he does. It's not like we meet regularly and he teaches me things, but just watching him focus on the issues, focus on economic inequality, and how that is so interrelated to the other social and environmental injustices that are going on, has been inspiring for me. For sure.
He's, one of the most popular politicians in the country, if not the most popular politician. He's won re-election resoundingly over and over again. That has to give you a pretty decent leg up, even though you're an insurgent candidate. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's right now our governor is one of the more popular governors in the country, even though he's a Republican in a progressive Democrat state. He has taken a few actions and said a lot of things that have enamored him to a fair number of Democrats to support him. He's also pissed off some of the more conservative Republicans. More recently, he's taken some actions, vetoing some bills that's putting those things in question. But he's very adept at words that distance himself from Trump, which is not a very high hurdle to do. But he doesn't take on Trump. He hasn't said, "Hey, Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump, pass the HEROES Act, help working people get through this, help municipalities and states get through this, so we don't have to cut, services and programs for our people." He won't challenge the president the way that he should, but he does gently distance himself. So he's walking a fine line so the Republican Party will still back him as the Republican Governors Association, but where moderates and even some liberals go, well, he's not so bad because, and that makes it an uphill battle. It is very winnable, though, because as a farmer, I resonate more so with some of the rural population than a typical liberal might. I'm also a progressive, which sometimes resonates more with some of those rural people because it's about economic inequity, while supporting many of the liberal issues, but really highlighting the economic struggle that people are facing. And so it's that same thing you see play at the national dynamic where the more urban folks and the rural folks are pretty on board. And it's that suburban, better off belt that's, worried that if we get too progressive, their economic circumstance might get injured. And, it's not going to. When you look historically at the economic realities, when working people have more money in their pocket, the middle class actually grows. But that information has been so distorted by Reaganomics and the neoliberal conversation that they believe they're going to be hurt if working people do better.
Right. You've been, working and pushing these progressive issues for a long time. Obviously, you said you met Bernie Sanders and worked with him for the first time in the early 90s. There would have been a long, hard road between then and the 2016 elections. You would have gone through Clinton and Bush and, all of Obama. Were you surprised to see just how crazily his campaign caught on? I mean, it was like wildfire with young people. Were you surprised? Was it something that you always knew was coming?
Well, certainly, I never knew that him running for president was coming. That was certainly, the fact that he got as far as he got, the fact that I'm running for governor, these things are widely sort of surprising that we've gotten to a place where this is possible. And in some ways, I think that shows how far this country has come and what the possibilities are in the future for others to carry the mantle beyond where he is, beyond where I may carry it, and so forth, because we're moving in the right direction. We're at this really steep tipping point where we could either go horribly wrong by reelecting this president and basically going over the edge of complete oligarchy and authoritarianism and a destruction of both our society as a whole, our economic system as a whole, and frankly, probably our democracy if this guy's president for 4 more years. So we could tip that way. And certainly Biden is not exactly tipping the other way as far as a strong progressive direction, but we'll at least thwart being out the other direction. We'll stay at the tipping point as opposed to going over it if we get Biden into office. But we are still going to be on this precipice for the next few years. And what we do at the state and local level and build in Congress is going to be the real question of, can we tip the other way and have a society that's based on, economic justice for people, racial and social economic justice, climate crisis justice. And so was I surprised in 16 that he took off? I will actually say no. When people would ask me in different parts of the, legislators that I knew from around the country, like, who's this Bernie guy? And isn't he kind of cranky and angry and crazy? Like, wow, what's going to happen with him? I said, you know what? Bernie Sanders does better in rural Vermont than almost any Democrat ever has. Bernie Sanders does better with young people than almost any Democrat ever does. Bernie inspires people because of his authenticity, his integrity, and that he's fighting for these issues that are all there, but most of the political class won't talk about. And he's going to do better than you think. Now, did I expect him to do as well as he did? Not quite, because frankly, I think he surprised the national Democratic money establishment more than they had expected. They thought he was just a cranky old coot, and that would lose it for him. So I do think he went farther than I thought he would, and I was admittedly disappointed this campaign cycle when the progressive vote really got split quite a bit from, the Democratic Party is very masterful. They put up a number of people to split the vote off, and then they circled
have him be
the wagons.
Stabbed in the back by his own, political ally. I mean, there was a lot of.
I'm not going to go there because I've got to be more diplomatic.
Sure,
but,
I understand.
But the party very, very deftly circled the wagons in that 1 week or 4 days, and that was very disappointing.